are you going? At Vanderbilt University's Medical Center. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, John. Good to be with you.
Good to have you back. Let's start with the numbers. We passed 200,000 coronavirus deaths in this country this week. What do you make of the projections that
they just announced the 2-minute warning, and then C-SPAN cut away? I guess C-SPAN didn't hear the 2-minute warning. I don't know. So there we have it. Now they're talking about the coronavirus. What the hell? Let's listen in.
People who are being carefree, people who are joining large groups, going about without masks, and that's the problem.
I hate everyone. That's the problem.
Transmitted in those circumstances. It doesn't care who you are or where you are. It just has job one to be transmitted to another person. And over much of this country.
Yeah, they just walked in. The first it was 5, and then they said 5:30, and then about a minute ago, they said, "Here's your 2 minutes. It's going to start at 5:15." That was 5:14, and here's your 2-minute warning. And everybody in the media room just laughed because this is just.
So
it's not the way you do things, but it's again, there's no ramifications.
Coherent, single effort to try to curtail this virus's spread. And so the virus will continue to spread.
Moving steadily, where next? Is this a cyclical cycle?
So, how are you guys? By the way, welcome to the live stream. I am Kevin, your Kevinly father. And what we do here is we just speak and chat truth to power. So if you'd like to be in the chat room, the best place to chat is youtube.com/KevinlyFather. Twitter works as well. If you know how Periscope works, it works there. Twitch lets you swear up a storm, so you can say whatever you want in Twitch and get away with it. Hey, Rich. So we're waiting. This, unfortunately, is in the White House press briefing room, so there will not be a touching of the mic, unfortunately, for you, Rich. So you can check out and go get your Sunday going if you want to. I bought some ribs at the Costco because they were, I think, $5 off at the Costco. And I don't have a propane tank for my barbecue, so my neighbor, he loves the ribs. Kevinly daughter, nobody eats the ribs. Nobody eats the meat like that. So I told my neighbor, I said, if you cook the ribs, I will buy the meat for the ribs. This is 2 days ago that I bought the ribs. I haven't seen him. I see this guy like 18 times a day. Because it's right next door. So if I'm in the backyard, then I see him in his backyard. And there's so many windows in the two houses that like he's just I can be anywhere in the house practically, and he's waving at me if he's in the backyard. And I haven't seen him in the front yard either. Today's garbage day, so you take your garbage out and put it there. Haven't seen him there either. This is really a nothing story. This has nothing to do with anything. Here's what I'm thinking. The Democrats who just let the nomination and the inauguration, I'm going to say, of Amy Coney Barrett, just let it go through. Like there's nothing the Democrats can do about it. They lost an election. The Republicans are jerks. That's the way it is. You want to make changes? Win elections. It's as simple as that. I'm not that hungry. Anyway, I got to come across my neighbor. So if anybody sees my neighbor, tell him I'm looking for him. Okay, this is supposed to start any second, but you know what I'm going to do? I am going to run out and just turn the AC on just a little bit because I'm already starting to sweat. I've been sitting here editing for the Africa charity thing. By the way, join us October 3rd, Charity for Africa. If you want to donate now, please do. Booksandbricks.org. It's booksandbricks.org, so you don't have to worry about October 3rd. I'm going to turn on the AC, and I'll be right back. I'll let you listen to these guys.
And start calling in with your questions. Dr. Schaffner, what do you, on the coronavirus vaccine, what do you think is a realistic timeline here? And any concerns about the public trusting this vaccine when it does come out?
Those are two very large issues, John. I would anticipate sometime toward the end of the year, beginning of next year. You know, there are now 4 vaccines in the works, that are starting or well into their phase 3 big trials. So we'll have perhaps information on any number of vaccines coming along in sequence as these trials complete themselves. There's been so much politicization of this discussion about vaccines that I think that there is a lot of skepticism and concern out there. The surveys show that. I will tell you, the surveys don't look at doctors, but I know from conversations from around the country and emails that around the country, the medical profession is also somewhat skeptical. So there will be people who will withhold themselves from vaccination, just waiting to see how things play out. And their major concern is safety. Is this a safe vaccine? Have we cut corners? And we haven't cut corners. And we're looking forward to the results of these data, which we need to present in a very transparent, clear fashion in order to restore the confidence of both the medical profession.
Joanna, send me DM me a picture of your little.
Can you talk about how the FDA
DM me a picture of your little mask there, and I'll
secure
post
that
it for
trust
the world
of the
to
public?
enjoy.
And what happened this week?
I hope you guys could hear me. I was saying, Joanna, post a little picture, send me a picture, a DM picture, and I'll put it up on the screen so everybody can see how cute it is. Who is R, Allison? I didn't know there was an R involved. I know. I don't know if she's in here. It's no fun making jokes about people who aren't in the room. Yeah, if you want to get in on the chat, you're more than welcome to. This is what we do. We're just waiting for Trump to come out here. They just announced it was going to start at 5:15 Eastern time, and said, "Here's your 2-minute warning." And then that was 8 minutes ago. It's pretty simple, really. I mean, how busy is the president watching TV that they can't do a 2-minute thing? Hey, here's your 2-minute warning. Okay, the press all sits down and they stop their remotes, because sometimes you see them standing at the front of the room doing their, hey, the president's coming out today. We suspect he's going to be talking about blah, blah, blah. Just give the 2-minute warning. Everybody sits down. And, Mr. President, we good? Let's go. But this is all the time. All the time this happens. I don't remember this happening on West Wing. I do remember having to sit through like 7 minutes of commercials. Actually, I've only watched like 4 episodes of The West Wing on Netflix, so I've never seen a commercial. Producer Joanna is measuring it on a tennis ball. Or you can just measure on your fit. Let's see. Colleen says, my immune-compromised ass has been inside for 220 days now. And now with a test positivity rate of 27%, where are you? You're not leaving anytime soon, Kevin. Kevin! Where are you that the rate is 27%? The positivity rate is 27%. Let's see. Joanna, did you send me anything? Boop, boop. Nope, you did not. Oh, well. Oh, someone said something. Let's take a look. Let's pull this over.
Quick recap, 9 ballots were sent in from the military to Pennsylvania. Those ballots were opened because the people
Okay, here we go. So this appears to be some sort of fact check or something on the TikTok.
Trump, you're in a pickle now. We now know the real reason those Pennsylvania military ballots were discarded. Quick recap, 9 ballots were sent in from the military to Pennsylvania. Those ballots were opened because the people opening them assumed they were absentee ballot applications. Once the envelopes were opened and they discovered they were ballots, it essentially voids those votes. So, what's the story here? Real quick, go ahead and pause and read Trump's tweet here. Essentially, he caught up on the story immediately and wanted to stoke the flames and create controversy with this to show that mail-in voting is fraudulent, see? But Pennsylvania has a new mail-in voting law that requires all ballots to be in additional privacy envelope. Trump and his campaign took this to the courts. Democrats fought for ballots without additional privacy envelopes to be counted, while the Republicans and Trump wanted the opposite, which Trump and the Republicans won in court. So those ballots that were opened was because Trump fought to have them thrown away.
I'm all like, fact checkers. He's all like, these are the facts, right? Come on, no one cares about facts. He's all, okay, so now it's 2:25. And, okay. Oh, there's that guy who ran as for vice president. I want to say Rupert? Roger? McKay? Oh, Wisconsin is not in good shape, Colleen. While we're doing this, let's see if, let's give us some volume here. This is Dr. Stephen Hahn, FDA. Go ahead.
Well-designed phase 3 clinical trial that demonstrates its safety and efficacy in a clear and compelling manner. Let me emphasize that again. Data from at least one well-designed phase 3 clinical trial that demonstrates its safety
I didn't
and
see any of
efficacy
Christopher's
in a
comments.
clear and compelling manner. FDA also expects that an EUA request would include a plan for active follow-up to monitor safety among individuals who receive the vaccine. In the end,
New York Times has breaking news regards Trump's tax. He states he only paid $750 in 2016. If that's breaking, that's why this press conference is
commitments
delayed.
today
In
to the
fact, just
American
came out.
public
Hold on, let me check it.
and this committee. FDA will not authorize or approve any COVID-19 vaccine before it has met the agency's rigorous expectations
When
for
did this
safety
come
and
out?
effectiveness. Decisions to authorize or approve any such vaccine or therapeutic
Let's make Han
will
quiet.
be made by the dedicated career staff at FDA.
There he goes. And let's get the times back. Give me uno momento. There we go. And he's in a limo. Long concealed records show Trump's chronic losses and years of tax avoidance. Donald Trump paid $750 in federal. When was this from? This is today, but there isn't a timestamp on it. Times obtained Donald Trump's tax information extending over more than 2 decades, revealing, oh my God, for 2 decades, struggling properties, vast write-offs, an audit battle, and hundreds of millions in debt coming due. Well, we kind of all knew this already, right? $750 in federal income tax the year he won the presidency. In his first year in the White House, he paid another $750. Wow. I paid more taxes both those years. He had paid no income taxes at all in 10 of the previous 15 years, largely because he reported losing much more money than he made. I lose a lot of money too. I buy ribs. As the president wages a re-election campaign, the polls say he is in danger of losing. His finances are under stress, beset by losses and hundreds of millions of dollars in debt coming due that he has personally guaranteed. You don't want to personally guarantee debt, by the way. You want to do that through your business so that you're protected. Trump, unfortunately, went bankrupt with his businesses so many times that he had to do a personal guarantee. But plus, he doesn't understand how things work. So he's expecting Mexico to pay. Let's see. Also hanging over him is a decade-long audit battle with the Internal Revenue Service over the legitimacy of a $72.9 million tax refund that he claimed and received after declaring huge losses. An adverse ruling could cost him more than $100 million. If he took a tax refund, if this is a 10-year battle, why hasn't this become public? This should be public record. Tax courts, you can go and look up someone's tax court record. Why is this not out there? The tax returns that Mr. Trump has long fought to keep private tell a story fundamentally different from the one he has sold to the American people. His report to the IRS... So he's taken $80 million from the American people. If that's true, if what this says is true, he claimed a refund to which he was not entitled, claiming losses that may or may not have ever happened. If this is true, he's embezzled $80 million from the American people. He should be in jail. The New York Times has attained tax return data extending over more than 2 decades for Mr. Trump and the hundreds of companies that make up his business organization, including detailed information from his first 2 years in office. This does not include his personal returns for 18 or 19. This article offers an overview of the Times' findings. Additional articles will be published in the coming weeks. The returns are some of the most sought after and speculated about records in recent memory. In Mr. Trump's nearly 4 years in office and across his endlessly hyped decades in the public eye, journalists, prosecutors, opposition, politicians, and conspiracists have, with limited success, sought to excavate the enigmas of his finances. By their very nature, the filings will leave many questions unanswered, many questions unfulfilled. They comprise information that Mr. Trump has disclosed to the IRS, not the findings of an independent financial examination. They report that Mr. Trump owes hundreds of millions of dollars in value. He owns hundreds of millions of dollars in valuable assets, but they do not reveal his true wealth, nor do they reveal any previously unreported connections to Russia. In response to a letter summarizing the tax findings, Alan Garten, a lawyer for the Trump Organization, said that most, if not all, of the facts appear to be accurate, and requested the documents on which they were based. After the Times declined to provide the records in order to protect its sources, Mr. Garten took direct issue only with the amount of taxes Mr. Trump has paid. Over the past decade, this is the quote from the Mr. Garten, a lawyer for the Trump Organization, over the past decade, President Trump has paid tens of millions of dollars in personal taxes to the federal government, including paying millions in personal taxes since announcing his candidacy in 2015. With the term personal taxes, however, Mr. Garten appears to be conflating income taxes with other federal taxes Mr. Trump has paid, Social Security, Medicare, and taxes for his household employees. Mr. Garten also asserted that some of what the president owed was paid with tax credits, a misleading characterization of credits, which reduce a business owner's income tax bill as a reward for various activities, like historic preservation. Oh, Trump's coming in. I'm not seeing it. Let's hit live. And let's go to another source here. It says soon. Oh, here he is. Okay, let's do this, kids.
But they decided not to. They did an EO instead, and I guess we have the president here.
Shit. If you're done. It's great to have you guys.
Someone just said, like, ah, shit.
Yesterday, I was very proud to nominate Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the United States Supreme Court. She's one of our nation's most brilliant legal minds, and I think she'll do very well. We're moving along very quickly. Tremendous unity in the Republican Party. It's the consequence of winning elections, which we did very substantially, both in the Senate and obviously in the White House. And I think we're going to take back the House. I believe that very strongly. Kevin is doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I really
it's
believe
about
we're going to take
damn
back
time.
the House.
Someone gave me some
We're
credit.
all working very hard on that. We have noticed some comments made in the media about my incredibly qualified nominee, Amy. The New York Times said her religion is not consistent with American values. She's Catholic. It covers a lot of people. It's a very disgraceful thing to say. Some of the comedians, I don't think they're comedians because comedians
sure
are
that's
supposed to be
said.
funny. They're not funny, like, at all. They're nasty, they're mean, and they think they're funny. And someday, hopefully it's in 5 years, but someday when I'm not here, they're going to be off television because their ratings, which aren't very good anyway, but their ratings are going to go down like you've never seen before. That includes a lot of others also. In fact, I'm sort of waiting for the New York Times and the Washington Post.
All of which have been around for hundreds. And of course, Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, everyone had their own shows. Trevor Noah was, before Trump as well. He started didn't he start before the election? Jon Stewart left before the election. Can't remember when Trevor noticed. Anyway.
ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSDNC. I'm waiting for them to endorse me because if they don't, they're going to drop with a thud. Like, it was supposed to have happened long ago, and then we won a race.
Trump just can't comprehend anyone doing anything, regardless of the ethical implications or their raison d'etre, without the motivation of money. He just can't. He can't get it. Will I make more money if Trump stays in office and I do this? If I never do anything else, because of your guys' support, will I make more money if I can keep doing the live stream? yeah, I'll make money for it. Do I want him to win? H to the double E hockey sticks, no.
And it was a great victory, and I think we've never had a more energized base. I don't think so. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. The rallies that we're having are.
I saw this in 2016. It was exactly like it. Exactly like it, except fewer airplane hangars.
Incredible. We call them protests. They're friendly protests.
No such
We don't
thing.
want to call them rallies, but
Yeah.
friendly protest rallies
Everyone's dropped out except Fox, so we'll stay with Fox for as long as this happens.
have been incredible.
We've got
People, I don't think
C-SPAN as a
anybody's
backup.
ever seen anything like it. And this is still long before an election. This isn't like the evening before. These are long before an election. The incredible crowd we had in Pennsylvania and Virginia, in every state, no matter where, North Carolina, Florida, no matter where we go, we're having crowds like nobody. I don't think anybody's ever gotten before, ever. Not even close.
I mean, there's
a
been Super
level of
Bowls and stuff.
enthusiasm in Iowa today with the tractors, thousands of tractors, and different states, the boats,
The boats.
thousands and thousands of boats, boaters for Trump, tractors for Trump, farmers for Trump.
Yeah. Motorcycle
It's really
riders for
been
Trump.
very
Lawnmower
nice to see
races
the
for
level
Trump.
of enthusiasm. I thought, though, on the religious situation with
Being
Amy, I
addressed for
thought we
taxes.
settled this 60 years ago with the election of John F. Kennedy. But seriously, they're going after her Catholicism. I will stand with her, fight with her,
Biden is also Catholic, goes to church every Sunday.
and we will make sure that these attacks stop because it's unprecedented. They're basically fighting a major religion in our country. This is incredible.
Yep.
Fighting any religion, fighting Catholicism is just incredible that they can be doing it. Are you Catholic, Rudy? 29 Supreme Court vacancies have occurred during an election year or before an inauguration. In every single instance, going back to George Washington, the president has performed his constitutional duty and nominated a justice. And in almost every one of these cases over the past 230 years, where the president and the Senate were the same party, the justice, as you know, that justice was confirmed. This is about 2 centuries, more than 2 centuries of precedent, and I think it'll continue. I think we're going to have, I think it's going to go quickly, actually, and again, I don't know if I've ever seen the Republican Party more unified. I think it was probably even more unified with the impeachment hoax, actually. When they did the impeachment hoax, I think that was, which really turned out to be a hoax, because now you look at
were
what's
impeached.
happening with the FBI and Justice Department. If you look at all of those text messages, emails that were sent.
Remember, the impeachment was about the Ukrainian phone call. There was no FBI involvement whatsoever. James Comey was already fired.
We have been totally proven right. They spied in our campaign,
They did not.
and everybody knew it. Biden knew it, Obama knew it, everybody knew it. And the lamestream media just, doesn't want to pick it up, although some have. I will say Catherine Herridge at CBS has done a fantastic job on it. We appreciate that. But this is a major scandal. This is a scandal the likes of which nobody's ever seen. This is actually the biggest political scandal in the history of our.
Yeah, does anybody know what this is about? Is this going to be about the 87-page document, which I've read, by the way, that exonerates Hunter Biden? That he didn't do anything illegal. And exonerates Joe Biden? Not a single. First off, the ethics violation that they look at doesn't apply to the executives. So vice president, president doesn't apply. It's like the Hatch Act. Even if it was something terrible that was done, which nothing is proven, even if it was, and somehow a single government policy was affected, which the report states it wasn't, that ethical violation code doesn't apply to Joe Biden. So, yeah, I don't know what this is about.
Country. And with the exception of a few, I mean, they just don't want to write about it. You should write about that, Kelly, You should write about it. You should write about it. You should do something on CNN about it, because it's the biggest single scandal of our time, certainly the biggest political scandal, perhaps in history. They
there was one.
they spied on our campaign, and then they tried for a coup. That didn't work out too well. And it turned out that you read the text that came out over the last 3 days.
I've read them.
It turned out that it was reversed. It was the DNC and the Democrats that were using Russia. And related or unrelated, Hunter Biden got $3.5 million from the wife of the mayor of Moscow. Why did he get $3.5 million? And then he got millions more than we thought from Ukraine, and he got millions more than we heard.
Because he works with an investment company, and those are fees for the investment that goes to the company, not Hunter Biden. But yeah, and again, this has been investigated. There was nothing illegal. It just happened to be a lot of money. You're just jealous.
About from China, Hunter Biden. Where's Hunter? So these are all questions that are.
You got $72 million from the American people that the IRS says you shouldn't have. So this is money. This is money Hunter Biden is legally entitled to. Our taxpayer money is not something you are. So now his defendants will say, like, yeah, but he's not taking a salary.
Very, very big on the internet. The biggest thing going on the internet is exactly this.
Is what?
And we're going to have to see how that all turns out. But it turned out that we were right, so we went through 2.5 years of.
Where's Hunter is the biggest thing on the internet? Hold on. Let's see what's happening. Let me click on that and see. Let's see. Trump tax returns is the biggest thing trending right now. Voters believe winner of election should fill court seat. That's number 2. Joe Montana. Joe Montana and wife fended off an intruder who had entered their Malibu home. Good for them. I haven't read the story. I spent a day with Joe Montana making a commercial. Really, really nice guy to me. Very nice to me. Got nothing bad to say about him, and God bless him. Glass fire is trending in California. Armenia declares martial law after clashes with Azerbaijan in border region. The Rock has endorsed Biden's. I gotta stop reading these because there's a football game I'm recording. Here we go.
Ruining people's lives, like General Flynn and many others, ruining their lives. And it turned out to be just the opposite. It was the Democrats that were dealing with Russia and other things.
There's nothing in the text about that, except that one of the FBI agents supposes, well, it could be that they actually prefer Hillary, because why wouldn't you? With this ass face, you have no idea what it's going to do. There's just unpredictable. Countries prefer the predictable. But then the next FBI agent, what does he say? Says something along the lines of, like, no, they like the Trump.
So hopefully our Attorney General and others working on this very, very hard, very diligently it'll lead to something that will be very important for our nation. I think it's very important for our nation. It's one of the most important things.
Where's Hunter only has 110 tweets in the last hour. 110 in an hour. To give you an idea of the internet, it's the entire planet.
A central issue of the 2018 midterm elections was the Kavanaugh
caravans.
Confirmation, and American voters punished the Democrats in the Senate. You saw what happened. We picked up 2 seats.
Yeah, that's
again
not
something that hasn't been reported on very much, but we picked up 2 seats for their treatment of.
And somehow they gained 40 seats in the House, and you lost control of the House. That's punishment.
Justice Kavanaugh, and expanded our Senate majority to confirm Supreme Court justices, which was great. And now Democrats are really brazenly attacking Judge Barrett for, again, her faith, mostly is what I'm hearing, for her Catholic faith. And whether it's Dianne Feinstein or anybody else, I think they ought to treat religion with much more respect. I think it's a disgrace that they can do it. Biden and the Democrats are desperate to distract from the real issues, which is that their party has been taken over by socialists, extremists, and probably communists. I think it's beyond socialism. I think it's a step beyond.
Probably.
And could be many steps beyond
no
if you take a look. And that if they win, they will nominate justices who will destroy the American way of life. The American dream.
I
They
wonder
will
why the
destroy the
television networks
American
cut
dream.
out of
They'll
this.
destroy America.
This is really great
destroy
stuff.
the United States of America.
Uh-huh.
Your private right to own
This
a
is just a
firearm will
low-energy
be
rally.
totally eliminated. Your guns will be confiscated. Your ability to live by your
You're talking
religious
to the
faith
press right now.
will be
Does he know
devastated.
that?
They'll abolish America's borders and give government health care to illegal aliens, which will destroy our healthcare system because
I
so
got
many
charity
people will
work to
pour
do.
into our country.
Literally.
That's a tremendous incentive. On voter fraud, as you know, hopefully there won't be a very big movement because hopefully we're going to be able
What?
to win. I think
does that
we
mean?
have the massive movement. I think we're going to
What?
have a tremendous victory. There won't
What is this movement he's talking about? Hopefully there won't be a movement. Is he talking about Joe Biden movement?
be a transition because I can't imagine we call it transition if we win. You know, they talk about
They
will
do,
there be a
actually.
friendly transition? Of course there will, but we have a big problem, and you see it every day. You see it happening every day with
No one talks about a friendly transition. It's called a peaceful transition. Peaceful transition of power. Pretty standard lexicon in the English language.
ballots. We are gravely concerned about the Democrat assault on election integrity. In Brooklyn, 25% of mail-in ballots were ruled invalid in June's Democrat primary. You saw that? And a special election in New Jersey, 20% of the ballots were thrown out, and 4 people are now being prosecuted for fraud. It's all in the mail-in ballots. 35,000 mail-in ballots were rejected in Florida's primary,
Wait,
and
sorry, I
100,000
missed
were
that. What's he saying?
with ballots. We are gravely concerned about the Democrat assault on election integrity. In Brooklyn, 25% of mail-in ballots were ruled invalid in June's Democrat primary. You saw that? And a
Democratic.
special election in New Jersey, 20% of the ballots were thrown out, and 4 people are now being prosecuted for fraud.
Yeah.
It's all in the mail-in ballots. 35,000 mail-in ballots were rejected in Florida's primary, and 100,000 were rejected in California, and that's just the beginning. A week after Pennsylvania's primary, half of the counties were still counting ballots, and you'll be counting them here because this is a much bigger version of all of that. Just last week, a number of discarded military ballots were discovered in Pennsylvania. All of the recovered ballots, these were ballots that were thrown out, had been cast for a person named Donald J. Trump.
There were 9 ballots. 7 of them had been cast for Trump. And, we just watched the guy.
In Wisconsin, 3 trays of mail containing absentee ballots were found in a ditch. They were thrown
Yeah, 3 trays of mail. Not all absentee ballots. There are a few absentee ballots in there. We don't know how many, as far as I can tell. Yeah, apparently there were 7 ballots for Trump and 2 ballots for Biden. So it's a 5 ballot, really, for Trump swing that were mistakenly opened by a new contractor, and he was fired. He'd been working there 3 days.
in a ditch. 3 trays, that's a lot. In North Carolina, voters are reporting receiving 2 ballots in the mail. Many voters, I hear it's thousands, but they're getting 2 ballots. I wonder if those are Democrat areas, because the word is they are. In Iowa caucuses last winter, you know what happened there? You all reported on it, I think, very well, right? You remember that? No. It was not good, right? But in Iowa, they still don't really know who the winner was. I think they called somebody eventually, but it was many, many weeks later. But they really have no idea, and that's continues to be, and that's little, that's just a small, that continues to be litigated in Iowa. They can't run a simple caucus, yet now they're trying to radically write election laws nationwide just weeks before the presidential election. I heard in New York today that Governor Cuomo wants to try and simplify the ballots because he thinks they're too complicated. And all of that, I agree with him. I think that's good, but you don't do that now. The ballots are starting to come in, and it's not. You can't do it now. It's too late. Joe Biden and the Democrat extremists oppose all of these efforts to ensure election integrity. They oppose voter ID. Think of it, voter ID. They want a picture. They have a picture for almost everything nowadays, but they don't want a picture. You had a picture to get into the Democrat National Convention. You had a card with your picture on it. Did you know that, fellas? You have to get into the Democratic National Convention. You have a card and your picture is on it. but they don't want it for voting.
And remember, there was no DNC. It was all virtual. That at the very end, Joe Biden gave a speech. So you might have needed media credentials to get into the convention center with the speech. Yes, probably. By the way, I just want to kind of point out here that getting into a Joe Biden speech in Delaware is not a constitutionally guaranteed right, whereas voting, it turns out, is.
Which is a very sacred right. We want proof of citizenship, a social security number requirement. They don't want any of this to happen. And they want
You don't have to have a social security number to vote. That's not how it works at all.
no signature verification. They don't want to have a
No, the signature verification is still there. It always has been.
verified signature. So they want none of the safety valves that you would have. Think of it. They oppose voter ID. They approve proof of
Safety valve is a completely different concept. Safety measures, yes, but a safety valve is a release. He doesn't understand how things work at all. Just the next thing he say is going to be somehow it's going to be wrong. Let's just.
They oppose proof of citizenship.
They do not.
They oppose a social security number and requirements for social security numbers as a safety valve.
Again, not a safety valve.
And they oppose even simple signature verifications. They don't want to have signature verification.
That is completely untrue. They want to have multiple signature verifications before somebody's democratic right to vote is nullified. Multiple.
They want
Which state has eliminated the signature requirement, Kim? I'd like to know.
to require all states to do mail-in balloting, right? I call it unsolicited. Some people call it universal. I think universal doesn't make sense because nobody understands why universal. It's
No one. You started universal. Nobody says universal.
unsolicited. They want unsolicited mail-in ballot. In other words, just send these ballots to whoever.
It's actually not true. It is universal mail-in ballot. States have been doing it for years.
You can think of. We had a case, I guess, in New Jersey you were reading to me where somebody was sent two ballots, so they had slightly, one was had a hyphen in it, the name, and the other one had a K,
Vote once.
and they got two names under it. So
Yeah, vote once.
I wonder if that
Don't vote
person was
twice.
a Democrat. Probably was.
Well,
And
doesn't matter, just don't
mailing
vote
of
twice.
millions of ballots to people who never asked for them. So millions of people are going to be getting ballots who never asked for the ballots. They don't want the ballots, or maybe they want them, maybe they don't. Nobody knows, really. This is really a recipe for chaos. So when you look at what happened in Iowa, and again, that was run by very smart people. It was a very limited election. It was very small numbers we're talking about doing that for the entire nation. And you could forget about November 3rd because you're going to be counting these things forever. And it's very dangerous for our country. So certainly transition, we all believe in transition. We believe not only in transition, but a very friendly. But when the ballots and when the system is rigged, which it is, obviously it is, and the only one that knows that better than me are the Democrats. And they go into closed rooms and they must laugh like hell at what's going on because these ballots are being found. And this is the beginning. I talk about it now at the rallies. All these people are watching.
That's a good point. Iowa was caucuses, which is messed up. Caucuses were simply ridiculous.
Eyes and ears, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands. But there's no justification for these extreme changes to the election law. And if you can go to the grocery store, you can have an...
Kim, you're completely forgiven. Kim says Virginia removed the requirement for a witness signature. My bad. It wasn't bad. It's we're learning, and if this happens somewhere, I want to know about it, and then I can say, with the exception of Virginia, everybody requires it. There are what the common mistake with that is that people. Sorry, Joanna just said California is on fire, so I'm looking out my window to see if there's a new fire today. I can see a little bit of the mountains from where I am, and they're often on fire. Back to reality. There are challenges in different states. for, let's say you're a poll worker or you're one of the poll watchers who goes to the polls to make sure everyone's voting correctly, and you can say, I don't think, depending on the state, all the states have different laws, you can say, I don't think that that guy is who he says he is. Sir, can you please prove that? Every state has their own stupid requirements for that. Sometimes it's ID, sometimes it's a signature, sometimes it's whatever. So a lot of people say, like, you don't even have to have a signature in California. Yeah, you do. And we're talking specifically about mail-in ballots. But yes, all the mail-in ballots with which I am familiar, military, absentee, universal, whatever it is, they all require a signature. And some of them, forget it, just go.
ID with your picture on it to vote is so important. I mean, it's just so important. So
every state with the ID, voter ID law that I've come across, and I've looked into quite a few of them, they all have exceptions for people without ID. So, like, for example, elderly people can just say, I'm elderly. I could walk in there and say, I'm elderly, and I can't be challenged on it under the Americans with a Disability Act. I'm elderly, I don't have ID, and I can vote in Alabama.
a lot of things are going on. Very important.
Now, I could be reported, and if the police arrested me, I could spend 5 years in jail. So I'm not going to do that. That's the whole thing. You have to fake so many votes in order to have any kind of impact whatsoever. And you can get charged with 5 years in jail for every one of those, or whatever the law happens to be in your state. It's just completely impractical to do voter fraud on a mass scale.
Importantly, though, I think very, very, very importantly is when you do your reporting, I think you ought to report on the FBI scandal because it's one of the great scandals in the history of our country. And I think people want to hear about it. If you look at the internet, you'll see how people want to hear about it. And they all know about it. And it just makes the media look so bad. And there's so much reporting, I could go into it right now, but I'm not going to do that. But it would be a tremendous thing for the mainstream media to really start reporting. I think your ratings would go through the roof. I really do, because people really are tired of this fake stuff where you don't even talk about it. And the biggest scandal, certainly the biggest political scandal in the history of our country, by far, bigger than Watergate, much bigger than Watergate, and they try and avoid it as much as possible. It's getting very hard to avoid. So we'll take a couple of questions, and you may have a question for these two very wonderful people, brilliant people from the standpoint of politics, I would say.
From the standpoint of mind.
And law. And if you have anything for Kayleigh, we'd love to do that. Go ahead, please.
You got the president there, and you're going to ask questions of Kayleigh, the president's spokesperson. Don't. Nobody ask Kayleigh anything. Don't even look at her.
Thanks, sir. Last Wednesday, when you were speaking to the attorney generals, you said that you hoped federal judges were watching what was going on with mail-in ballots. Do you hope that Amy Coney Barrett is watching as well?
I do. I'm sure she is. I think everybody is. I think everyone in the country. I think we've made it a very big issue. And it's an issue that the Democrats
Okay, so Rudy Giuliani and Chris Christie are there, says Lizzie. Okay.
tried to get away with. I don't think they're getting away. I mean, so many reports now are phony ballots, that I don't know if it would have been...
By the way, with mail-in ballots, it's really, really difficult to commit voter fraud and get away with it. It's because it's highly detectable. 2 security codes, at least, a security envelope, etc., etc.
Reported before. But all of these rallies, we had thousands of people last night, as you know. And we're in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The night before, we were in Virginia. I mean, those crowds are, whether it was 35,000 or 30,000, those crowds are massive. And that's...
I haven't been paying that much attention to crowds, but just outside of Reno, when he did his rally there, the capacity of that facility was 5,000, maximum capacity. And he claimed that there were 29,000 people there, plus thousands more outside, tens of thousands more outside. So 29,000 from 5,000. And then a couple of days later, it was 35,000 instead of 29,000. So there's just nothing he says that, unfortunately, a lot of it matters, but nothing means anything.
On very short notice.
Thank you, Colleen. The rally he keeps talking about was 4,000 people. That's about right.
Those people are watching. You know, we have eyes and ears now that we wouldn't have had if we didn't bring it up. So no, I'm sure she's watching, and I'm sure that everybody's looking at it. I think it's just common sense. Go ahead,
A
Vaughn.
quick follow-up. Did you discuss the election with her?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
And then just
I just didn't think it would be appropriate, and I've watched over
I actually believe him. He's not giving any of his tells.
the years as presidents would interview and talk and make a decision on a Supreme Court justice, and I was actually surprised they wouldn't talk about various things like Roe. They wouldn't talk about, things that are very important. They think it's inappropriate to talk about them. I don't know that it's inappropriate, but I've gone by that custom. Go ahead, Phil.
Thanks, sir.
I don't think it's inappropriate. Wait, didn't he just say it was inappropriate?
Democrat. Did you discuss the election with her?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
And then just
I just didn't think it would be appropriate,
I just didn't think it would be
and I've
appropriate.
watched over. I think it's inappropriate to talk about them. I don't know that it's inappropriate, but I've gone by that custom. Go ahead, Phil.
He doesn't know. He thinks it's inappropriate, but he doesn't know if it's inappropriate. He has no morals. He has no moral or ethical compass. So he can't, he honestly has no idea. He doesn't understand how you feel things like that because he's a sociopath. He isn't, remember him? Here's me. I hear you. I think I have that. I usually have that. Let's see if I have it here. Let's move on and I'll look for it.
Thanks, sir. Democrats are arguing that ACB puts in danger not only...
Speaking with the kids and families of the Parkland shooter victims, he had to have written down, I hear you. That's how empty he is, how void he is of human empathy. So yeah, when is it appropriate? He doesn't know how to answer that question. In 1991, when Playboy asked him, by the way, I love that the White House is attacking Brian Karem, who asked the question, will you commit to a peaceful transition? Every time they talk about it, whether it be Kayleigh or anybody else, well, this Playboy reporter, Trump used to do interviews with Playboy all the time. Well, all the time is an exaggeration, multiple times. Including one where, when asked about abortion, he's like, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I don't know. I don't really have what do you think? He asked the reporter.
Roe v. Wade, but a number of other decisions. Do you think that they are correct?
No, I don't know. I mean, we depend. I think she's going to rule on the law. I think she's going to be a great justice for many years to come. But I can't say. They also bring up health care.
Hold on. Someone just said something about soy love. What is that anyway? Is that Mr. Barr who's talking? Welcome to the chat room, Mr. Barr. Anybody, if you want to come chat, you can do so on any of your platforms. You can do so on, let me close that window. You can do so on youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. What's the whole soy boy, liking soy? What is that all about? Why is that an insult? What's the underlying there, Mr. Barr? If you wouldn't mind sharing, we'd love to know. Because it's like, oh, I eat soy. Okay. What's wrong with soy? I couldn't handle milk as a child. I had to have soy milk. As a child, I was allergic to milk. Still don't drink milk. Let me know. What's the deal with soy? Why is it a bad thing? It's like a basement. Oh, the Democrats are in a basement bunker doing the impeachment. Oh, we're scared. Joe Biden's in his basement. Oh, Hillary Clinton has got a basement server. Oh, like, so what? What's wrong with basements?
Obamacare is terrible. It doesn't work. We've made the best of it. We got rid of the individual mandate, which is great. We are going to protect people with pre-existing conditions 100%. But if we can end Obamacare and come up with a much better health care system that's much cheaper and much better, which is what we'll do.
Why is drinking soy affecting your masculinity? Because men drink milk? We're grown-ups. We don't need milk anymore. Like, I don't have brittle bones. I don't need a lot of cow milk. On
the other hand,
anyway, Trump is talking about something. Should we get back to him?
if the court rules against we will manage the system better. But don't forget, we've already essentially gotten rid of Obamacare because we got rid of the individual mandate, and it was all based on...
If you need milk, drink milk, Producer Debbie. God love you. Drink as much milk as you have. Special milk. Trump was talking about special milk the other day.
On that. So we've done a tremendous amount because the individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. You had to pay a lot of money for the privilege of not paying for bad health care. So that was a terrible
You should have just paid for the health care then.
thing for people. And what we will do is, if we are fortunate enough to get rid of the little remaining in Obamacare, and again, individual mandate, the way I view it, that's no longer Obamacare, because that was the central point, and we won that. We've already won that, as you know.
So the people saying soy boy or whatever, they have a problem with females. They regard females as lesser than males. Okay, now it makes sense. So they're just, what is the femophobic? There's got to be a phobia associated with the fear of females.
But by getting rid of that, it's different. It's a much different thing. The other thing we've done is managed. Here's the story. It's no good. It's too expensive. It's bad coverage. You don't get your doctor. You don't get your plan. All the things that President Obama said, you don't get. And Biden, too, by the way. If Biden even, I don't think he has any understanding of.
Wait, what is he I don't even know. I've totally lost. I'm much more interested in, yeah, I know, misogyny, but I want it to be phobia. I want it phobic as well. Like a homophobic or hydrophobic or zemophobic. Sorry, it's zemophobic.
But you don't get your doctor. You don't
Is it gynophobia? That makes sense. More like gynophobia. Am I right? High five.
get your plan. 28
Well, you guys all know that. I didn't even know that. My whole life, I had no idea I was afraid of Ginas.
times
You know who's afraid of Gina? This guy.
President Obama said, you get your doctor, you get your plan. It turned out to be a lie. So here's what we're doing. If we can terminate, we are going to have a much better plan. And
If we can what?
of it. But you don't get your doctor, you don't get your plan. 28 times President Obama said, you get your doctor, you get your plan. It turned out to be a lie. So here's what we're doing. If we can terminate, we are going to have a much better plan, and you will have your
I want to timinate something. That's my middle name, goddammit.
doctor, you will have your plan, you'll have a lot of things that you don't get with Obamacare. Yeah.
And when are we going to get that health plan? Is it going to be in 2 weeks? Because he just announced a health plan that isn't a health plan this week. So, but if we can eliminate Obamacare, then you're going to see the real double secret probation health plan.
You've said this numerous times, but do you really believe that Joe Biden will be on any type of performance-enhancing drug ahead of the debates, or are you just joking?
No, I'm not joking. I mean, I'm willing to take a drug test. I think he should too, because he's had a very uneven.
I want him to. I want him to take boom, take some hair at the debate. In fact, do it now. Like Biden should be there tomorrow. Let's go. Drug test. Come on, Donnie.
I watched him with some of when he was with, debating Pocahontas and Harris, who treated him so badly. But I watched him, and he was out of it, right? And then I watched him against
He was not.
Bernie Sanders, and
He was apologetic when he went over his time. That was the deal. And then you've probably seen the video circulating around of also when he was on it during the original debates as well. He had moments in and moments out, but he certainly wasn't out of it.
okay. I mean, he wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible. He was okay. A far cry from the way he, you know what I'm saying. I mean, if you look at some of those.
I know they should negotiate to have one guest. Like, I'd like to have my wife Jill Biden there, and then the Republicans will say like, "Oh, he said Joe Biden. He thinks he's married to himself." Oh. No, it's Jill Biden, and then. He could even say I'd like to have Dr. Jill there for support, and Dr. Jill just happens to be a medical doctor, and she does the drug test right there.
Debates, I said there's no way he can continue. He can't continue.
Yeah, Colleen sent me a video where Biden was feisty.
Then all of a sudden he debated crazy Bernie Sanders, and you know what? The truth is he was okay. And I said, how did he go from there with those horrible performances to where he was okay? And I always joke, but you know, it is true. He was no Winston Churchill in debating, but he.
Oh, that's the joke. That the drug test, not the joke, but saying that he's no Winston Churchill. Did Winston Churchill ever actually do? I don't remember ever seeing a debate with Winston Churchill. He probably did, but that's not really the way the British parliamentary system works.
He was fine. And people say he was on performance-enhancing drugs.
Which people say
A
that?
lot of people have said that. A lot of people have written
Really?
that.
Name one. Name one person besides you who said that.
So
Is it Tucker Carlson? Because a judge just said that Tucker Carlson cannot be taken seriously. Officially, court ruled that Tucker Carlson cannot. You cannot expect an audience to believe what Tucker Carlson says. That was Fox's news argument. We can't be held liable, we can't be held liable for slander because Tucker Carlson says so many outlandish things that his audience knows he's not to be taken seriously. Ouch.
take a look.
That's also my defense. If I ever get in trouble about anything,
You just check it. You can check out the internet. You'll see plenty of people say it, and whether he is or not doesn't matter. But
just check out the internet, says Grandpa.
I would love to take a test, and he can
I just go on CompuServe and do the / Joe Biden on drug.
take a test too.
Mr. President, so we'll start with debate. Obviously, it is coming up. How are you preparing? Is somebody playing Joe Biden in the debate with you? Are you doing debate prep at all?
No, there's so many other questions to ask. Do not ask who's playing whom in the debate. Who the fuck cares? Who cares? What are the topics? Okay, that gives us something to go on. I can take those and go, oh, what kind of things are they going to ask about the economy? I can do some research on that. I can have some fact checks ready to go. And I know this isn't all about me, but honestly, this is really all about me. Why ask him about, who cares who's playing whom? There's better questions to ask right now. Do they not read the New York Times? Do they not have a phone with text capabilities?
These two gentlemen have been helping. Kaylee's there.
Who plays Biden for you? I mean,
I would say maybe a combination of these two, and either one of them is about 5 times smarter than Sleepy Joe. But we had a little debate prep before we came here. I think this whole thing, though, is debate prep. You know, what I do is...
Colleen just sent me something. This is great. This is from Kevin Cate. You kids know Kevin Cate. He's a Kevin, and one of the good ones. So Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Biden paid 6,160% more in federal income taxes in 2008 than pretend billionaire real Donald Trump did in 2016. So that would be the year that Biden was running for office was 2008. The year Donald Trump was running for office, 2016. They paid, let's see... The taxable income was based on $201,000. They did okay. So their taxes came to $46,952 owed to the government. I wonder what that... he put that up at the top as well. Wonder what that translates to in terms of taking a $72 million tax refund, of which you are not guaranteed.
Debate prep every day. I'm taking questions from you people all the time. I mean, I've taken a lot of questions from you over the last number of years, and he doesn't. I watched the way he was
You can just say 4 years.
treated on MSDNC.
Number of years. Thank you. He's never specific, and when he is, he's always wrong. So it's actually better for him just to say number of years, period of
On
time.
Friday, I guess he did it live, and it was disgraceful. It was an embarrassment. I know her, and she's a pretty tough reporter. The way she was helping him along with us, it was so obvious what was going on. She was helping him. She was giving him a question and then helping him to answer the question. I know her very well. She doesn't do that. It was embarrassing, and people don't talk about it. I mean, play some of those clips, play some of those answers, the answers that where he wasn't able to give an answer, and she's pushing him. She's pushing him. They never do that with me, I can tell you, but I don't have the kind of
Just listen to 5 minutes of a Fox and Friends with the president.
problems he has. So,
Yeah, he says MSDNC all the time.
How many hours would you say you've spent on debate prep?
a little time. I mean, not a lot.
More or less than 60.
I'm running
He doesn't prep for anything.
the country. I don't have the luxury. I watched other people over the years. I watched one sort of fairly recently, not too long ago, go into a cabin, lock himself into a cabin, and he came out and he wasn't very effective. You know, he had so many things going on. But sometimes you can go too much in that stuff. You know, sometimes you can go too much. I mean, look, I've never debated before, but then I debated a lot 4 years ago. And if you look at the polls, those polls that come out, hundreds of thousands of people in Time Magazine and all of the different polls, I think there's about 7 or 8 of them. According to those polls, I won every.
Why? No, they didn't. You didn't win the debates. It didn't matter, though. I mean, honestly, this cake is baked, too. I'll enjoy the debates, but I don't think they're going to change anything. This is from Aaron Grudge. Colleen sent this to me as well. He is saying, about Trump, he has significantly reduced his tax burden by paying his daughter absurd amounts of money as a consultant. So in order to not pay taxes, he pays Ivanka. So, yeah, that sounds ethical. But Hunter Biden got some money for
debate,
work.
every single debate, in the primaries, and then when I debated crooked Hillary. I won every debate. I mean,
What was
this
that
isn't
little
me saying.
dance? I didn't see a dance. Hold on. I want to see
Other
a dance.
people over the years, I watched one sort of fairly recently, not too long ago, go into a cabin, lock himself into a cabin, and he came out and he wasn't very effective. You know, he had so many things going on. Sometimes you can go too much in that stuff, you know. Sometimes you can go too much. I mean, look.
The topic is Trump. The topic is Trump.
I've never debated before, but then I debated a lot 4 years ago. And if you look at the polls, those polls that come out, hundreds of thousands of people in Time Magazine and all of the different polls, I think there's about 7 or 8 of them. According to those polls, I won every debate. Every single debate.
Nope.
In the primaries, and then when I debated crooked Hillary, I won every debate.
Nope.
I mean, this isn't me saying, I felt I did, but this isn't me saying, this is the polls. You had Time Magazine poll, you had this, that, and I guess they take them off the internet or they get phone calls or something. But according to that, I won every debate. And I felt I did. But I understand the subject. Now, Chris is tough. I hope that Chris is going to be equally tough on Joe Biden. But I watched the young lady who I won't say her name, but it was embarrassing the way she was getting him along. So I just asked a question about drugs. I think it's something that would be appropriate.
CNN, 62% believe Clinton won. Public policy, 51% Clinton won. Only 40% Trump. YouGov, 57 Clinton. Politico, 40% Clinton, 26 Trump. Echelon, Clinton won the debate, 48-22. Reuters Ipsos, 56% of Americans Clinton. NBC SurveyMonkey, 52%. Only 26% for Trump. Gallup, Hillary, 61-27. Fox News, 61-21 Clinton. ABC Washington Post, 18% Clinton. CBS News, okay, so CBS News asked, do you feel better about the candidate? 32% of voters said they felt better about Clinton. Only 10% of the voters said they felt better. So all of those polls, every single one said that Hillary won in a landslide. Okay, moving on.
Because you...
Why? Because he would used to sometimes brag that even though a lot of people thought Hillary won, that I won the election. Look who's in this house. I won. It was a landslide. It was the biggest landslide in history. And he said that until Peter Alexander said, no, it wasn't. Well, since Reagan.
can't have a president that needs that kind of help. If you do have a president that needs that kind of help, when you've got to deal with Putin and you've got to deal with President Xi of China and you have to deal with Kim Jong-un, and by the way, do you notice there's no war going on with North Korea?
Andrew, I'm a independent. I didn't vote for Hillary, so get rid of your filter and just listen to what people say, and you'll be a much wiser, more sage person for it.
Which everyone thought would be in about 1 week after I came to be president. They thought it was going to happen immediately. No war. And that's saving perhaps millions of lives, not just, they were saying, 50,000 people. No, millions and millions of people could have died.
Chris will definitely have some questions. And one of the ones that's going to likely, everybody's going to be talking about is there's a New York Times story that came out about an hour ago that says that when you came to the White House, you were paying about $750 a year in federal income tax. They are not releasing that, they're not publishing the tax returns. They're not showing that out there. They're saying to protect their sources. In your tax return, sir, does that sound right that you're paying a couple $100s a year in federal income taxes?
It's fake news. It's totally fake news. Made up, fake. We went through
Now hit him with the lawyer. Your lawyer has said that they're accurate. Hit him with that.
the same stories. You could have asked me the same questions 4 years ago. I had to litigate this and talk about it. Totally fake news. No, actually, I paid tax. And you'll see that as soon as my tax returns. It's under audit. They've been under audit for a long time. The IRS does not treat me well. They treat me like the Tea Party, like they treated the Tea Party. They don't treat me well. They treat me very badly. You have people in the IRS, they treat me very, very badly. But they're under audit. And when they're not, I would be proud to show it, but that's just fake news. The New York Times tried it, the same thing. They want to create a little bit of a story, they're doing anything they can. Not only, that's the least of it. I mean, the stories that I read are so fake. They're so phony.
Did they tell you this was going to come out to them?
No, I didn't know anything about it. I don't
Mr.
know anything
President.
about it. I think somebody said they were going to do a negative.
Mr. President.
They always do. They only do negative stories. I don't think I used to get good stories in the New York Times when I ran for office, and I happened to be conservative Republican. I don't think we've had a good story. They predicted my loss 4 years ago. They then apologized for their bad reporting. Then they predicted the FBI and all of these things. That's now proven to be a hoax, a complete hoax. They got Pulitzer Prizes along with the Washington Post. They should give all those Pulitzer Prizes back because everything was wrong. I mean, it was so bad. Their reporting was so bad, they were wrong. It was exactly the opposite. Now, there are people that should get Pulitzer Prizes. Solomon, Carter. They're not in the business of Pulitzer Prizes, but Sean Hannity got it right. Lou Dobbs got it.
By the way, John Solomon has long been known to be just I want to say a quack. There's no equivalent in the journal. A hack, I guess. He's just terrible. And multiple ethical journalistic organizations or journalism organizations have said as much. He was completely debunked during the impeachment when all of his stories about the Ukraine and all that other nonsense and Hillary cooperating and blah, 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 blah. Every single American government official who testified that had anything to do with John Solomon's stories blew them out of the water. He's a joke.
Got it right.
Can't even work for the Hill anymore.
Laura got it right. Many people Tucker got it right.
Tucker, again, Fox News has said he's not to be believed.
There were many people that got it right. I don't know what they get other than a great salary and great ratings. I mean, I don't know what they get.
Federal tax in 2016.
Thank you, sir. On
Jordan, go ahead.
yes, thank you. On the New York Times story, though, you have to understand that when Americans read that you may have paid only a few $100s in federal income tax per year, that seems very low for someone who's a billionaire. So how much?
Basically, they're saying I paid nothing.
Can you give people an idea of how much you actually are paying?
Yeah, basically, well, first of all, I paid a lot, and I paid a lot of state income taxes, too. The New York State charges a lot, and I paid a lot of money in state. It'll all be revealed. It's going to come out. But after the auditors, they're doing their assessment. We've been negotiating for
And remember, Rudy was on Fox News saying that some of the audits were already done. So
a long time. things get settled, like in the IRS. But right now, when you're under audit, you don't do it. You don't do that. So we're under audit, but the story is a total fake. And all of this, or is this one, we had the same exact questions usually asked by the
Please, somebody say, hey, your own lawyer says the numbers are accurate.
same people. And that took place 4 years ago. You remember, this was so well litigated. It's incredible. If you look at the filings I have, I think I have.
What?
And all of this, or is this one, we had the same exact questions usually asked by the same people. And that took place 4 years ago. You remember, this was so well litigated. It's incredible.
This wasn't litigated. No one has seen his taxes.
Incredible. If you look at the filings I have, I think I have 108 pages of filings for all these different companies that do very well, obviously, because the filings, and nobody talks about that. You'll learn much more if you look at those filings, and we have to file every single year. But you'll learn much more if you look at those filings. Those filings are very complete. They're very big. They're very powerful. They're very accurate. And those are the filings that you'll learn much more. And when it's done, but
the big, powerful, accurate filings. Very powerful filings of financial disclosure.
When you're under audit, you just don't release them. And again, they treat me very.
Tell us what you paid in federal tax.
I didn't call on you. I'm talking to him. You should be more respectful of this gentleman. You're very rude to him. But I will tell you that I look forward to releasing that. I look forward to releasing many things. I'm going to release many things, and people will be really shocked. But the New York Times has been doing fake story after fake story. I've never seen anything like it. And people understand it. And people, that's why the media has such a low approval rating now because of what they've done. It's really a shame. Yeah, go on the back.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. 2 questions.
And if you have any questions for these two gentlemen.
Well, that's what I was going to ask both you and Governor Christie and Mayor Giuliani. Your 2 guests are practicing Catholics. You've talked about possible bias against Judge Barrett's religion. Only 2 Catholic bishops have come out to say the same thing you have. Is any effort being made by any of you to say, get the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops?
I think that,
at least other leaders within the church.
We're in the process of doing that. I think it's horrible what they're doing. I mean, they're playing the religious card, and it's frankly, you're talking about Catholics. It's a very major religion in our country. I don't know, Chris, do you have anything to say about it?
It's obvious what they're doing. So, she'll be strong. She'll be tough, and she'll stand up for what she believes in.
And she went through, just like I did 4 years ago in terms of litigation of different things. She went through it before and did very well. Rudy, what do you think?
I think the article in the New York Times today reveals a very strong anti-Catholic bias. I mean, it says in the article that Catholicism and the American ethos can't be contradict each other.
Well, let me ask
what is the American ethos? It's their version of it. And that's a horrible thing to say. And then it says that Catholics have difficulty separating public and private morality. I don't have difficulty separating public and private morality. So what I see is the beginning of a really strong anti-Catholic attack. And having lived through the John Kennedy election, that article today reminded me of the things that used to be written before John Kennedy. Could a Catholic be loyal to the United States? Come on.
Well, having said that,
that's exactly what Feinstein raised when she made that awful remark to the judge.
Well, let me repeat my question again. Why are only 2 bishops within the church speaking out, and will you make an effort to get the U.S.
I think they'll come out very strong. This is day 1. I mean, we've just started this. This is absolutely day 1. And I mean, they're going to be coming out very strong. The Catholic Church is very well united on this. They are so thrilled that Amy was chosen. They are so thrilled. Oh, they'll be, again, it's been 24 hours, okay? So it's been a very short period of time. But they're going to come out very strong. Yeah, please, go ahead.
OAN. Christina Bob from OAN. Thank you for the briefing. You spoke earlier about some of the subjects that Joe Biden has been refusing to answer questions on specifically Hunter Biden, his involvement with Russia, Ukraine, even China, and then the Obamagate.
And the press doesn't ask those questions. It's incredible.
I'm wondering, the debate is coming up this week. Do you anticipate Joe Biden being held to task, and will he be able to answer those questions at the debate?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to find out because a lot of things are going to come up.
Is this OAN, I'm guessing? I don't know. They're not showing us.
In the debate. That may be one. I mean, the son didn't have a job. He had some big difficulties, and then all of a sudden he's making millions of dollars as soon as his father becomes vice president. No, I think that'll come up. I don't think Joe can answer it, frankly. I think there's only one reason he made all that money. And then you have to say, what about Joe's involvement? And why did Joe not give the $1 billion over to Ukraine, as an example, until such time as they let go of a prosecutor that was investigating the company that his son was involved with? I mean, there are some bad questions. I don't think they have answers. And if we had a media that was fair, even just reasonable, this would be the biggest story for years and years and years. Then you'd really be entitled to real Pulitzer Prize.
The president's kid made some money. The vice president's kid. No policy. Again, there's an 87-page report from Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley, Republican senators, that says no crimes were committed. Vice president is exempt from these regulations anyway, that Hunter Biden didn't do anything illegal, and not a single government policy was affected. Not one. That's what the report says. That is the Republican report. But biggest story for years.
It's not the fake committee that gives you these fake awards. So, I mean, it's a really fair question.
What?
But it's hard.
Are you talking about the Nobel?
This would be the biggest story for years and years and years. Then you'd really be entitled to real Pulitzer Prizes, not the fake committee that gives you these fake awards.
So the committee for the Pulitzer Prizes is fake, and there's another committee somewhere giving out real Pulitzers.
So, I mean, it's a really fair question, but it's hard to believe when you see the kind of money that he has made from China, from Russia, where the wife of the mayor of Moscow gives him $3.5 million, and nobody even has any question about it. Why did he get $3.5 million? I'll tell you why. Because Joe Biden was in on it. Joe was in on it. There's no way that he wasn't. And uses Joe Biden's plane, Air Force Two, uses Joe, and they go to China, and then he comes back, and he never mentioned it to his father, that he just got $1.5 billion, and now it's turning out that it's much more money than that, Rudy. It's turned out to be much more money from China. They have a member of the Chinese Communist Party gave him a lot of money, and the press has no interest in these stories. It's just it's very disheartening for the people of our country. Please.
Mr. President, if he tries to dodge the questions or doesn't address them head on, are you prepared with the facts and information to answer that for the American people?
Well, I have all the information. It just came out. I mean, I didn't know about Moscow, $3.5 million from the mayor's wife. I didn't know about that. And he's a very influential, powerful man in Russia, as you know. And it wasn't me. I didn't have anything to do with Russia. That came out loud and clear. What also came out is they should have never gone into this fake Mueller investigation. And it also came out that the 31 phones that were wiped clean shouldn't have been wiped clean, and that's a criminal act. And Bloomberg, likewise, shouldn't be paying for prisoners to go in Florida and go and vote, because he's basically paying, which is totally illegal, going and paying prisoners. I hope he hasn't done it yet, but he's down in writing is doing it. This is what he wants to do so that he can ingratiate himself to the Democrats after they made him look like a total fool in the debate. I mean, what they did to him is incredible, and that he goes out and spends money, it shows you the problems that he's got. Mini Mike. But for him to go out and buy votes, because that's, I don't know, you're a very good lawyer. Are you allowed to go tell people that go vote, I'm going to pay you off your tail?
Certainly can't buy votes, that's for sure.
Yeah, because that's what it is. I mean, it's a...
Matt, remember, this is the guy who's done a payroll tax deferment that he will make permanent, that you will get that money that you've temporarily got in your hands. You will get that money if you vote for him.
It's a very serious charge. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Mr. President, if the election...
Biden, I was talking to you, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know that there has
Hey,
been...
could you, we have a little more time.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
I can hear him.
And there has been going on the
Oh, he has an accent. Okay, that's why.
military action in the Karabakh, Azerbaijan, and
In where?
The Azerbaijan,
Yeah.
the Karabakh, and the civilians are killed. And according to the officials from the Azerbaijan, they say the first shoot came from the Armenian. What's your comment on that?
So we're looking at it very strongly. It just happened, and I know about it. I learned about it today and yesterday, and we're looking at it very strongly. We have a lot of good relationships in that area. We'll see if we can stop it. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, in 10 of the previous 15 years before the 2016 elections, you paid $0 in income
Just
tax.
25 hours after naming Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
Yeah, he's not going to call on Brian again. That sounded like Brian at the end there. It will be quite a while before he ever calls on Brian. Yeah.
As his Supreme Court nominee, President Trump vigorously defends her at that White House news conference just wrapping up. In his usual combative style, the president batted reporters for the stories they're writing and the stories they are not writing, asking, for instance, why Joe Biden's son Hunter received $3.5 million from the ex-wife of the mayor of Moscow while Joe Biden was vice president. More on the news conference in just a bit. The president is getting ready to meet, Joe Biden face-to-face on the debate stage for the first time in 2 nights.
Let's go catch up on the New York Times story here.
Hello on this Sunday. You are live in the CNN newsroom. I'm Ana Cabrera in New York. Thanks for being with me. Tonight, Trump versus Biden, just 2 days before they face off on the debate stage. The two candidates are escalating their attacks on one another.
What about New York Times? New York Times. All right, you lost me.
Timetable saying his committee will approve Judge Amy Coney Barrett's nomination on October 20th.
For me, thanks for watching. I'll see you back here next weekend at 5 p.m. Eastern. Up next, my colleague.
You have to wait to be called on, Dr. Howard. So there were several other people in that room. It sounded like Paula with CBS. I don't know if it was her. And I think I heard Weija as well. I don't know if they were in there or not. But there were several people wanting to, they were all chiming up when they were trying to ask questions. But until he calls on you, you can't say anything. And if he doesn't call on you, oh well. Again, he's the most transparent president in history.
Alicia Menendez picks up our news coverage. Alicia?
Rev, I don't know that you were off that easy because we have some breaking news this hour. The New York Times has obtained Donald Trump's tax information extending over more than 2 decades. They reveal that President Trump paid $750 in federal income taxes the year he won the presidency. In his first year in the White House, he paid another $750.
Okay,
and
so
here's
that's
the
$1,500.
big top line. President Trump paid 0 income taxes at all in 10 of the previous 15 years. The Times notes that's largely because he reported losing much more money than he made. We're following the story, and we will have more as we learn it. Joining me now.
Okay, more as they learn it, and Colleen is our information source again today, and let's see, this is an old tweet from Donald Trump. Barack Obama, who wants to raise all our taxes, only pays 20.5% on $790,000 salary. Do as I say, not as I do. That's awesome. That is awesome. Of course there's a tweet. There's always a tweet. Just enjoy that. Just soak that in. Just soak it in. Oh, it feels good. And all of this, of course, will change every nothing. Because nothing matters. Nobody cares. Notifications. What's going on the homepage? Yep, it's now trending #1 along with The Rock. I dig me some Rock, but I posed that question this morning on Twitter. Is there a single celebrity that if they came out in favor of Donald Trump, would it change your vote? Would it change your mind? Does anybody vote because a celebrity says, yeah, this guy? Is that the way the real world works? I don't know. I need to write off a haircut. I need to get a haircut and write it off. So they're doing outdoor haircuts around here in California, and everybody wears a mask and you get your haircut. So I'm thinking of doing that. I know we had talked about raising money for charity. I'm not convinced anyone is gonna contribute to that. Also, Joanna says Federer. Yeah. So there you have it, kids. Producer Joanna putting masks on tennis balls and just randomly saying Federer. That's enough for now, guys. I am hard at work on the charity stuff. Remember, October 3rd, big charity day, debate in just 2 days. I cannot wait, but I have to. So do you. Sorry, guys. I can't change time. I can't do that. It's not in my power. And I'll tell you one more thing.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
Hold on. We're not gone. We're not gone. I just saw what Colleen wrote there. Give me a moment to myself, and I will pull it up for you. Oliver Darcy says $70,000 in hairstyling for television. Oh my God. The Times has a new article. Times, why? Why is this only this big on my screen? Let's zoom in for you kids right here. Boom, here we go. I can do that. Okay, so let's do some key findings here. Mr. Trump paid no federal tax in 11 of 18 years that the Times examined. He was reduced his tax bill with questionable measures, including a $72.9 million tax refund that is the subject of an audit by the Internal Revenue Service. Many of his signature businesses, including his golf courses, report losing large amounts of money, losses that have helped him lower his taxes. By the way, this has been a Trump family scheme for decades. This is what they are known to do. The Times previously won a Pulitzer Prize for their coverage of the Trump family taxes. Those tax paperwork, tax paperwork, by the way, provided by Mary Trump. Get her book on tape now. The financial pressure on him is increasing as hundreds of millions of dollars in loans he personally guaranteed are soon coming due. Even while declaring losses, he has managed to enjoy a lavish lifestyle by taking tax deductions on what most people would consider personal expenses, including residences, aircrafts, and $70,000 in hairstyling for television. I get mine done at Supercuts. Ivanka Trump, while working as an employee of the Trump Organization, appears to have received consulting fees that also helped reduce the family tax bill. And lastly, and certainly leastly, as president, he has received more money from foreign sources and U.S. interest groups than previously known. Well, duh. The records do not reveal any previously unreported connections with Russia. It does not matter. Any foreign source is a violation of the Emoluments Clause, even a penny. A penny. Deeper look, tax avoidance. Okay, so you guys can subscribe to the Times and see all that for yourself. Back to the closing credits.
Kevin, thanks for that.
I'm coming back. I don't know if anyone is still here.
Where are you going?
Turn my mic on. Okay, my mic's on. So I honestly, there's nothing has moved the ball. I mean, we have audio of him saying that he was playing it down, the coronavirus. Then we have audio of him saying this is really dangerous. Then we have audio of him saying this is getting the kids. Plenty of young people. We have audio of all that, and no one's mind seems to be changed. The taxes just might, because everyone pays taxes, and when you have tax paperwork, that's that. People know you can't mess around with that. People know people go to jail because they mess around with that stuff. That might finally... No, I'm just kidding. It's not going to change anything. Good night, kids.